Hey everyone. It seems like every day there's a new AI tool promising to revolutionize research,
Yeah, and all this innovation is definitely raising a lot of questions about, ethics and responsibility in research.
especially in research, right? Because things move a little slower in academia.
Exactly. And that's why it's so interesting to see how major scientific journals are responding to all of this.
Like, are they embracing it or are they kind of pushing back?
Well, it's a bit of both, actually. We're seeing a wave of new guidelines from big names like Science, Nature, Elsevier.
Oh wow. So like the heavy hitters.
Yeah, the ones that really set the standards for scientific publishing. They're all grappling with how to use AI responsibly in research.
Okay, so that's what we're diving into today.
We break down these guidelines, pull out the most important stuff.
Exactly. So if you're a researcher and thinking about using AI in your work, this one's for you.
All right, so first things first when we talk about AI here,
Right, because AI is kind of broad.
we're mainly talking about those sophisticated language models like GPT-4.
Oh, okay. So like the ones that can write almost like a human.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
They can process and generate really human-like text, which is amazing, but also, a little unnerving.
yeah, for sure. So let's get into the guidelines themselves. One thing that really jumps out is this emphasis on transparency.
Transparency is absolutely key. And it's not just a suggestion, it's like a core principle across all these guidelines.
Like they're really hammering this point home.
They are. Because think about it, if you're reading a research paper,
Yeah.
wouldn't you want to know if AI played a role in creating it?
I mean, yeah, of course. It would definitely change how I interpret the findings.
Right. So these guidelines get really specific about where and how you need to disclose AI use.
Okay, so like where exactly are we supposed to put this information?
Usually it goes in your acknowledgement section or the method section of your paper.
Makes sense. So no sneaking in a little AI generated paragraph here and there.
Nope, got to be upfront about it. And you need to be clear about which AI tools you used, the specific language model, and exactly how you used it.
So like we use GPT-4 to help us polish the language in the discussion section.
Exactly. And the reason this is so important is because it goes to the heart of research integrity.
Right, because science is all about trust.
Exactly.
Yeah,
If there are questions about how a study was conducted, it can cast doubt on the whole thing.
totally. So it seems like the journals are trying to draw a clear line between AI as a helpful assistant
Right.
versus letting it become like a research partner.
Mm.
Where do they draw that line?
It's a crucial distinction.
Mm.
The guidelines are very clear. AI is acceptable for refining language and improving clarity,
Okay.
but it should not be used to generate original research content.
So AI can help me write better, but it can't do the thinking for me.
That's a great way to put it. Think of it as a tool to communicate your findings more effectively.
Got it. So give us some concrete examples here. Well, what's a yes and what's a no when it comes to using AI in research?
Okay, let's say you've written a draft of your paper. You want to make sure it's clear,
Mm.
concise.
Make sure it sounds, academic.
Using AI to polish your writing, improve the flow,
Yeah.
even suggest stronger transitions, that's perfectly acceptable.
So it's like a supercharged grammar checker.
In a way, yes, but it can go beyond grammar and help you make your conclusions more impactful.
Okay, I'm starting to see the value here.
Mhm.
But what about using AI to analyze data
Mhm.
or generate hypotheses or even come up with research questions? Is that a no-no?
That's where things get a bit trickier. The current guidelines are pretty cautious about this.
I see.
Remember, the focus is on you as the researcher driving the research process.
Okay.
AI can support your work, but it shouldn't be making decisions independently.
So no asking AI to find me a groundbreaking discovery and then just copy pasting.
Exactly. And that leads us to another area where the guidelines are super strict. Image manipulation.
Oh yeah, deep fakes and all that. It's
Yeah.
crazy how realistic AI generated images can be.
It's a bit scary, right? And that's why the guidelines are very clear that using AI to manipulate images in any way that misrepresents your data or findings,
Oh wow, so like no touching up that one blurry image in your data set.
it's tempting, I know. But the guidelines are pretty clear. No AI manipulation.
Okay, so that makes sense. But it also raises the question of, fact checking.
Right.
Because AI can generate things that sound totally plausible, even if they're made up.
Exactly. This is where your skills as a researcher become even more important.
So I can't just trust whatever AI spits out.
Right. You still need to apply the same rigorous fact-checking and referencing standards.
So even if AI helps me write, I still have to double check every single claim and source.
Absolutely. You're ultimately responsible for the accuracy of your research.
Okay, now I have a question that I think a lot of researchers are probably wondering. What about tools like Grammarly?
Ah,
Huh.
yes, the Grammarly question.
Because it's AI powered and it's so common in academic writing, are those okay to use?
That's a great question. Basic spelling and grammar checkers are generally considered fine.
Okay.
You don't necessarily need to disclose those. But when you start using more sophisticated language tools,
So, like, it depends on how much heavy lifting the AI is doing.
exactly. If the tool is making substantial changes to your writing or could influence the interpretation of your findings,
Yeah.
it's best to be transparent and disclose it.
So, this is where those specific journal guidelines become super important.
Absolutely. Some journals might have very specific rules about which tools are acceptable.
Right. Okay. So, let's say I've used AI responsibly, followed all the guidelines, produced some amazing research.
Great.
Can I list the AI as a co-author on my paper?
That's a hot topic right now.
Hmm.
And the answer is a clear no AI cannot be listed as an author.
Interesting. Why is that? Is it just because AI isn't human?
It's more than that.
Mm-hmm.
It comes down to accountability. Authorship means you're responsible for the work.
Right. You have to be able to explain and defend it.
Exactly. You need to be able to answer questions from reviewers, justify your choices.
And AI can't really do that yet.
Right, AI is getting more sophisticated,
Yeah.
but it's not at the level where it can take on those responsibilities.
Okay, that makes sense. Speaking of things AI can't do yet, what about peer review? Could we see AI reviewers in the future?
That's another area where the journals are drawing a hard line. Peer review is sacred ground.
And AI is off limits for now.
Yep. There are a few reasons for this. First, there's the issue of confidentiality.
Right, you can't just upload someone's unpublished research into an AI.
Exactly. And then there's the value of human expertise and judgment, which is at the core of peer review.
It's about having experts in the field critically evaluate the research.
Right. Provide feedback and ensure the quality of the work.
It's hard to imagine AI replicating that level of human judgment anytime soon.
I agree. But it does make you wonder, as AI gets more advanced, how will these guidelines need to change?
That's a great question, and one we'll definitely be keeping an eye on. But for now,
Yeah.
it seems like the message is clear. AI can be a powerful tool for research, but we need to use it responsibly.
Absolutely. And these guidelines give us a solid framework for doing just that.
Okay, so that's a great overview of where things stand right now.
Yeah. And in the next part of our deep dive,
We're going to explore some of the more nuanced and philosophical questions that AI raises.
like how will AI change the way we think about authorship and the nature of knowledge itself?
It's going to get deep, folks. So buckle up and stay tuned. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the rules, the don'ts of AI in research.
Right. All the things you got to be careful about.
But now I kind of want to shift gears a bit.
Yeah, let's talk about the fun stuff.
Exactly. What can AI actually do for researchers? How can it help us?
Well, for starters, AI can be an incredible time saver.
Oh, yeah, especially when you're dealing with mountains of data.
Exactly. AI can sift through all that information so much faster than a human can.
And not just faster, but it can also spot patterns that we might miss.
Right. It can make connections that wouldn't even occur to us.
So it's like having a super-powered research assistant.
Working 24/7 never gets tired.
That's the dream.
Hmm.
But AI can also help with more than just data analysis, right?
Absolutely. Think about all the writing that researchers have to do.
Oh my gosh, don't even get me started.
Grant proposals, presentations, journal articles, it never ends.
And it's not just the quantity, it's the quality too.
Right. You have to be so precise and persuasive with your writing.
Especially if you want to get funding or get published.
Exactly. Well, AI can help with all of that.
Yeah.
It can refine your arguments, make your writing clearer.
And even tailor your message to different audiences.
Exactly. Like, imagine having an AI that could help you write a grant proposal that actually gets funded.
Okay, now that's something I can get behind.
And it's not just grant proposals. AI can help with all kinds of scientific communication.
So it's like having a personal editor on call 24/7.
Pretty much. And the best part is these tools are constantly getting better.
So the possibilities are kind of endless.
Pretty much, AI has the potential to revolutionize the way we do research.
But we still need to be careful, right? We
No.
can't just let AI run wild.
Absolutely. The researcher still needs to be in control making the decisions.
AI is a tool, not a replacement for human judgment.
Exactly. And that's why these guidelines are so important.
They help us stay on the right track.
And they're constantly evolving, too, as the
Right.
technology changes.
Oh, that's interesting. So what might be considered acceptable use of AI today
Yeah.
could be different in a few years.
Exactly. Which is why it's so important to stay informed and engaged with the conversation.
So it's not a one-time thing. I can't just read the guidelines once and be done with it.
Nope, it's an ongoing process of learning and adapting.
So we're all kind of figuring this out together.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Researchers, journal editors, ethicists,
Yeah.
we all have a role to play.
And what about the public? Where do they fit into all of this?
That's a great question because ultimately AI is going to impact everyone's lives,
Not just scientists.
right? It's going to affect healthcare, transportation, education, you name it.
So we need to make sure the public is informed and involved in these conversations.
Absolutely. We need to be transparent about how AI is being used and make sure it's aligned with society's values.
Because if people don't trust AI, they're not going to support it.
Exactly. And that could hinder progress and prevent us from realizing the full potential
Mm.
of this technology.
So transparency, public engagement, ethical considerations, these are all crucial pieces of the puzzle.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of practical and ethical considerations,
Yeah.
but now I want to get a little more philosophical.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Because AI isn't just changing the way we do research, it's changing the way we think about knowledge itself.
That's a deep thought. How so?
Well, for starters, it challenges our traditional notions of authorship.
Right. Because if an AI contributes significantly to a research project,
Yeah.
how do we acknowledge that? Can an AI be a co-author?
That's a question that's going to keep coming up as AI gets more sophisticated.
And it's not just authorship. It's also about the nature of creativity and discovery.
Right, because if an AI can come up with new ideas and insights,
Yeah.
what does that mean for human ingenuity?
It's a fascinating question, and I
Yeah.
don't think there are any easy answers.
But it's definitely something we need to be thinking about.
Absolutely, because AI is pushing us to re-examine our assumptions about what it means to be human.
And what it means to know something.
Exactly. It's a really exciting time to be alive.
Even if it's a little bit scary, too.
Yeah, change can be unsettling, but it's also full of possibilities.
So how do we embrace those possibilities without losing sight of our values?
That's the million-dollar question, and
Yeah.
I think the answer lies in open and honest conversation.
Conversation between researchers, policymakers, the public, everyone.
Exactly, because we need to work together to shape the future of AI and make sure it benefits all of humanity.
I love that. So it's not just about AI in research, it's about AI in society.
Right, it's about using this technology to create a better world for everyone.
Well said. Now, I know we could keep talking about this for hours,
Me too.
but we're running out of time, so I think it's time to wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Okay, sounds good. But before we do,
Yeah.
I want to leave our listeners with a little challenge.
Ooh, a challenge. I like it.
Think about how AI is already impacting your field of research and what opportunities and challenges it presents.
And how you can be part of the conversation shaping the future of AI.
It's up to all of us to ensure that AI is used responsibly and ethically.
And that it ultimately benefits humanity.
Well said.
Okay, so on that note, we're going to take a quick break.
Yep.
And when we come back, we'll be diving into the practical implications of all of this for you, the researcher.
We'll give you some tips and resources to help you navigate the world of AI responsibly.
So stay tuned.
Okay?
Okay, so we've covered the big picture, the ethics, the guidelines,
A lot to think about.
but let's get down to brass tacks.
Right, let's make this practical.
For you, the researcher listening, how do you actually use AI responsibly in your work?
Well, first, remember those guidelines. They're a great starting point.
Yeah, but they're pretty general.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're framework. You got to apply them to your own specific research context.
Because research is so diverse, right? What works in physics might not work in history.
Exactly. So really dig into the guidelines that are most relevant to your field.
Like, look for the nuances, the specific examples.
Right. And don't be afraid to ask questions. If something's unclear,
Yeah.
reach out to colleagues, mentors, even journal editors.
Better safe than sorry, right? Especially when it comes to research ethics.
Absolutely. And remember, this whole AI thing is moving so fast.
Oh, yeah. What's acceptable today might be different tomorrow.
Exactly. So stay informed. Keep up with the latest guidelines, the new tools.
So it's not a one and done kind of thing?
Nope. It's a constant learning process.
Okay, so be informed, be cautious, but also don't be afraid to, like, experiment a little.
Right. Try out different AI tools. See what works for you.
Because every researcher is different, every project is different.
Exactly. And as you experiment, be critical. Don't blindly trust what the AI tells you.
Yeah, we talked about that plausibility trap. AI can sound so convincing even when it's wrong.
Exactly. So always double check the sources, understand the limitations of the tool.
So it's kind of like you need to become fluent in AI, right?
Yeah, you got to learn its language, its strengths and weaknesses.
And luckily, there are a ton of resources out there to help researchers navigate all of this.
Lots of universities are offering workshops on AI ethics.
Oh, that's great.
There are online forums where researchers can share tips and advice.
It's like a whole community of AI explorers.
Exactly. And don't forget about the power of mentorship.
Find someone who's already using AI in their research.
Someone who can guide you and answer your questions.
Because sometimes you just need a human to talk to, right?
Absolutely. And finally, remember, this is exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's a whole new frontier in research.
So embrace the challenge, stay curious, and let's see what amazing discoveries we can make together.
Beautiful. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into AI in research.
It's been a fascinating journey.
We've covered a lot of ground, from the specific guidelines to the big philosophical questions.
We've talked about the importance of transparency, human judgment, and collaboration.
And above all, we've emphasized that AI is a tool,
A powerful tool.
but a tool nonetheless.
It's here to help us, not replace us.
So to all the researchers out there, embrace the possibilities of AI.
But use it wisely, ethically, and always with a critical eye.
Keep asking questions, stay informed, and let's shape the future of research together.
Well said.
And that's a wrap on another episode of The Deep Dive. We'll catch you next time.